Some of you must have heard about flipped classes. What are these and how can they be used for effective teaching and learning? That is what we will cover in this video. Whenever I ask my children to do something, one of the first questions is why. That is good. So let's start this video also by answering the question, why do flipped classes? What is the motivation for this? In the current COVID situation, as educators, we are faced with one of these two scenarios. In the first case, all the students are present on campus, that is, they are ready to attend the physical classes being conducted by the teacher. But given the contagious nature of the virus, we need to maintain social distancing, that is physical distancing. The scenario 2 is where the students are not even present on campus. They are all in their respective hometowns and you still need to teach them. Flipped classes can help in both these scenarios, as we will see shortly. But flipped classes didn't arise out of COVID. They have been around for a long time, used by many faculty across the world. So what motivated them? But first tell me, as teachers, what are some of the issues you face when teaching classes? As teachers, one of the things we always worry about is whether the students are learning properly. So for example, in large classes, it is very difficult for us to give personalized attention to students. When class size is like 100, you don't even know the names of half the people in your class. And a few active students often hog the attention and others just tune out. And often for weaker students, you cannot even give enough think time to solve some subtle problem. You're always rushing. And often we have to cover certain syllabus, so we don't spend too much time asking questions because this also eats up into your class time. So this, in effect, leads to poor learning objectives. In many colleges, the load on the teacher is also quite high, where a given teacher may often have to teach two to three subjects. And this also will lead to poor teaching because you are managing a lot of load. In classrooms where attendance is optional, for example at IITB that is the case in many courses, once a student misses a lecture or two, they just give up. And future lectures just go over their head and thereby they just stop attending the classes. So all these issues which we face as teachers can be effectively handled by flipped classes. So first let's see what are flipped classes. In a traditional classroom, a teacher gives the lecture in the class and gives some homework which the student is expected to solve at home. Whereas in the flipped classroom, the lecture is something the student is going to watch at home. And they will attend the class and take the help of the teacher and do some activity which is like a homework. So what was earlier homework which you are doing at home, think of it as being done within the class with the help of your teacher. Why like this? We have all attended classes ourselves. So how many of you have faced this situation? When you listen to the teacher, you feel everything is crystal clear. Then you get home, you open some problem set and try to solve a problem, and then you realize you did not understand anything and you cannot solve this problem. So that is what is being captured here. In flipped classroom, on the other hand, the student watches the lecture and they try to solve the problems in the class, where if you have any questions, the teacher is right there to help you out. But more importantly, tell me, year after year after year, what portion of your content which you deliver in class changes? I would suspect that this to be less than 10%. So put some effort, record it and get it out of the way, because then year after year you can start reusing the same content. And whatever time you are saving repeating that content in class, you can give more attention to your students in class. So such classes have been tried extensively across the world, including within IIT Bombay, and the results have been mostly positive, provided you take due care in conducting these classes. So what is this due care? That brings me to the next question. So if you're convinced of flipped classes and decide to record videos, what properties should these videos have? So this is the outside class material which the student will watch from the comfort of their home. What objectives should it meet? Since we are removing the classroom interaction of a lecture outside, this has to mimic, this video material that you are creating has to mimic in classroom settings to the extent possible. In other words, these videos have to be interactive. What does interactive mean? In a regular classroom, I teach something, I ask a question, someone answers it, then I discuss it and then proceed. So these videos also should have the same element. So this goes by the name of Socrates model of teaching, where you teach by asking lot of questions, and these questions are basically embedded as part of the video which the students get to answer. So the students watch the video. When a question pop up, they pause, they think, they understand what is being taught so far, answer the question, and then proceed listening to the teacher's explanation of that particular answer. That is one, which is that the videos better be interactive if you want them to be engaging. Also, the videos should be kept short and sweet. Typically, if you make them anything more than this, it is easy for the students to lose focus. So video should be typically 10 to 20 minutes. And it also a good idea to provide complete learning where all the material, be it video, slides, reference material, practice problem, is in one convenient place where you're organizing all this material nicely, and then you're giving a schedule which will guide the students. In other words, saying something like in week 1, you watch these videos, do this quiz, so on. In week 2, you watch these videos, read this paper, do this quiz, and so on. So far we have covered what happens outside the class. Let's see what happens inside the class with the teacher. This also, if you don't pay attention, flipped classes will flop. So the idea here is that you should give more personalized attention to the students. For this, you can interact with students in smaller groups. In other words, the entire class, you can divide them into 2 groups or 3 groups, and you deal with one group at a time. Thereby, you can give them more personalized attention. They can also do peer learning, which is group interaction. And whatever concepts they have learned outside the class, you reinforce some of them within the class. So this reinforcement, which is often the repetition of a concept, is again something that really helps in learning. The more times you listen to something, the deeper it gets into your head. So what happens in the class? I will give a detailed breakup later, but at a high level, you can do a quick recap of whatever outclass material, that is the video material they watched earlier. You can have a discussion session, question and answers. Some students will have some question on this material. You can answer all this. And you can make them solve practice problems. Lot of exams are based on them solving practice problems. So you are giving them lot of practice in class, which means they will do good or better in exams. So that is also something which is nice about flipped classes, where otherwise many students don't really do this, and this is what causes them to perform poorly in exams. But in flipped classes, since you're insisting that they do this within the class, their performance will be better. So that is what flipped classes are. So there is an out-class component and there is an in-class component. So how do these help in the current situation? This is what we started out the video with. Let us see.